Hello everyone and welcome back to the stream. I am Razim and this is Minecraft on the All the Mods 8 mod pack. Right now I'm just hanging out with some friends while we're discussing Rygon's Harith species and world that he has created with them. Alright, you guys can carry on.
All right.
Okay.
I do have a question about the Shunta though.
What's up?
So it does specifically mention the like tips of the wings like glinting in the moonlight. Is there a
Yes.
reason why they glint as opposed to it being more stealthy?
Keep reading.
I read through the entire thing. I didn't see a specific thing. It does mention
fair
the
enough.
aerial acrobatics, but it doesn't say anything about the coloration of that mattering.
Fair
or
enough.
anything like that.
That's because their wings are razor sharp.
Well, yeah, but it doesn't have to be razor sharp in order to... It doesn't have to be, like, metallic and glint in order to do that, is what I'm more
no.
bringing up.
I want it to be.
Okay. That
Hey
could be the
there,
reason I was more bringing
Mavalios.
it up.
Yeah, I mean, that's their special thing. The glint is pretty much like the only indicator that they have that specific feature. But like they do have a few behaviors. Like for example, when they crowd around to look at a cut, you'll notice I put in like 3 of them or so will kind of crowd around and they'll be batting their wings and that'll cause more cuts and whatnot. Yeah. But I did want their wings to be somewhat metallic in nature. Or at the very least, the very edges of them. And it's not like the kind of razor sharp where, like, you know, they pass through a freaking tree trunk and the tree, like, gets split in half or something like that. No, it's like the equivalent of, like, small paper cuts. Like somebody taking a small razor blade to you.
That does not sound pleasant.
It is.
Do they have
why
talons
they
or
use pests.
teeth that they attack with, or is it just the wings?
Just the wings. They do have some claws, but they are more for grasping onto the side of things, not for rending flesh.
Joke.
Ah.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, Taldaris, that was my reasoning.
When you're making, when you're filling in all the walls.
Sorry if it doesn't make too much sense. I literally only wrote them up in like an hour or two.
The cube shape so much better.
Oh well.
I'm here.
Oh, Taldarius. Man, he's gone.
I'm still here.
Oh, he says it's doing it again.
Oh, his net.
Yeah.
I have some currently. In my bag.
Ah, right. That's what I was waiting on.
trying to find a good pillar shape. A triangle?
Hmm.
For art pieces.
Okay. My system knows how to craft these, but for some reason it's not... I think I set this up wrong or something.
That or zombies trying to kill our house. I placed on all the cube shapes I had. Have fun.
Ow!
getting XP.
You're the head pat master, huh, Valios? I don't know about that.
I also put some storage area in the house. In my desk.
Oh, StarCraft music.
Yeah, it'll
Are you
save
still
me
going to be
some-
working on them then?
Yeah, I'll give it some thought.
I work in-
The notes themselves that I have to do are only like 1 day's worth. They're not
He's
that
telling
big
me
a
he doesn't
deal,
want me to stay
so I
up
can
all
get
night
those
anyway,
done
so
in
I'm
like a
not
half
really
hour.
too stressed.
Just so long as I do before I sleep.
Fair enough.
Just enough to be.
Oh, you are back.
Yes, I am back for now, although it's been cutting me in and out. So I may not be around for
Woodalaboo.
long.
Woodalaboo, you have permanent internet now.
Ooh, yes. The Rygon magic.
The Rygan magic never fails.
True. But yeah, so just to verbalize my latest question, we wanted the one of the other ones to be one that gave off like some like sucker marks to an experienced aquafarine, right?
Yeah, so we could consider them maybe like a bit of like a natural predator to the dewdrop cacti. Not necessarily like in a bad way, but obviously the dewdrop cacti have to have something that eats them.
Yeah.
It's the circle of life, after all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
One
I'm
thing that I
thinking
was-
maybe of a
Yeah.
creature that is very patient, that is buried in the sand, very much an ambush predator as well, with a very, very tough muzzle and throat.
That's actually kind of exactly what I was thinking. To have like a more burrower, almost but not quite like snake-like. I'm thinking like it being much like thicker and oblong than a snake, but one that can like burrow through the sand dunes and would have that sort of thing. And specifically like from above would be almost indistinguishable from the sands around it, as a like, you know, an extreme ambush predator that could burrow around to different places, but isn't the most mobile. So that's why it's important to notice the marks on the dewdrop cacti, because then it warns that one is absolutely around.
Yes. Then I think that would definitely suffice. What would we call
Yeah.
this particular creature, though?
don't know,
so
but
About the VAR.
all right. One thing that I was
fetch.
thinking about for the like body type, imagine like
Yeah.
a manta ray without like the wings, and instead of like the
Mhm.
stinger tail, it would have like a forward muzzle that could like shoot out with like a sucker.
Okay. So something
Definitely.
like
'Cause, like-
akin to a frog?
Well, no, I mean like okay. So, here's a picture of a manta ray from below, so that way it has a better I can describe it.
Well, I know what a manta ray looks like.
Well, no, I'm
But
just
you're
saying
saying
for, like,
without
a
the
little bit of a
wings.
descriptor. Without the wings, so
Okay.
like you can see like with the you see the sort of shape that it takes from underneath.
Yeah.
You see how it like tapers, and then like imagine it going like more towards a point, so that way we could have like the really hard muzzle that you were talking about, and throat and tongue and all that, and it
Mhm.
could actually act like the tongue could have like barbs on it, so that way it could act as like a bit of a latch. Not like it being sticky, I mean like hooking into the skin, so that way it can drag its victim. Because we want it to have low mobility and be ambush.
Yeah. I like that idea.
So
That
that way
would be a gruesome way to go.
Hey
yeah,
there, Matt.
but you know we want that
Mhm.
because these are primarily going to be on the Hakti, and we want the Hakti to be full of like really gruesome stuff if possible.
Yeah. I like that idea.
But yeah, you see where I'm going with this, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, to get a much, much, much better idea, maybe like a stick drawing would be just as good. But I think I get what you're talking about.
Yeah. No, I was actually already like putting this into a quick little paint thing.
Okay.
Just like literally as crude as you could make it, but
That's okay. I've got a good imagination. That's why you all exist, after all.
absolutely.
For some reason, this is not working. I'm trying to figure out why this isn't crafting like it's supposed to. Fetch. Okay, now it did. I'm trying to auto-craft a, thing here, or set up auto-crafting for the ME pattern provider. Apparently it's being held up by this.
You know, that manta ray shape though is a bit inspired though. What if this creature did utilize some like pseudo wings in a way that disrupted the sand around it, like it would shake really fast, creating like a small sand dust cloud in order to obscure itself, one for escape and two to disorient prey?
Yeah. I was thinking we could do that, but like for like the main body shape, I mean something like that, where you know. There's like obviously
Okay.
like the roughest sketch I could manage, but like for the important body bit, I'm talking about like that.
Okay, I get what you're talking about now.
That way, we have like something that it can like propel itself with, which is like, the more tail thing
Mm-hmm.
on the back. But it also wouldn't lend itself well to mobility, which sort of forces it into the ambush predator.
Yeah. So that's definitely one direction we could take. We could go with something more fast-moving as well.
Yeah.
Maybe something
But
that's
one of the
smart.
Yeah. But
What's
one
up?
of the reasons that I was leaning more towards this was because we wanted it to be like a really big thing if it's discovered on the markings are discovered on a dewdrop.
Yeah.
Because, obviously something that's like this couldn't really maneuver around, so if there's a suck mark on a dewdrop, that means there is one nearby.
Mm-hmm.
At least one.
Okay.
And that's why I
I
was
like
thinking
the
about it,
idea.
because that would automatically present a sense of danger to the entire party. Because if something like that, like especially if we gave it like more minor flaps, not like, the whole manta ray shape, but if we gave it like some flaps on the outside, which is entirely doable, and the skin like on the top could be like, a really sandy texture and coloration, as well as the fact that it would burrow slightly into the sand, it would just make it like really hard to distinguish it. It means that they literally could not trust putting their feet anywhere, and would kind of like have to entirely rely on their hearing in order to try and hear even like the faintest movement of it, like shuffling under the sand, if it's doing that at all. Because it would really put them in a tough situation if they're on the Hakti and they know they cannot currently trust their eyes, and thus are forced entirely into their hearing, which would make them very nervous as well because of their other predator that specifically targets their hearing.
It is definitely one of those like 50-50s.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So that's why I was thinking about it, because I was like trying to think about like, how to make it so it's like actually dangerous without it being, just extreme murder killbot.
You're fucking right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
For
in a
the
way, it kind of
Harith,
reminds me of a cone snail.
yeah. But like for a Harith, it means that they have one predator where they kind of need to do like their ear sealing thing, so that way they can't get completely BTFO'd and stunned. And then for the other, they can't really rely on anything except their hearing in order to like, really feel it. Because especially, and one reason that I was thinking that it could be like an ambush predator underneath the sand is because of the lack of nerves in their feet. So even if they stepped on it, they couldn't really feel it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Because, one of the only other ways to like find it would be through touch, but their feet like very specifically have almost no nerves. So it would be almost impossible for them to really detect it.
That's true.
So Matt, this is the All the Mods 8 mod pack with a couple of extra mods with it.
But yeah.
So
I mean, I really like what you're saying. I guess I'm just still trying to envision the whole like thing in my head, I guess.
Yeah. Which is
Does it have feet?
we could give it that, but I was thinking no, and that's why it would have like a more powerful tail. That way it could like sort of like push itself through the sand by maneuvering that, and then like maneuvering like it's, if we gave it like side flaps at all, it could maneuver the side flaps slightly. in order to
Honestly,
kind of
I
like
think
go
I
through
think
like
I
a
am.
wave.
Honestly, I think I am a fan of like maybe the full stingray look.
All right.
The flaps I think would just simply make sense in terms of it just being able to get around. Like I like what you're talking about, but like design wise,
Yeah.
aesthetically, like I think having the wings would be good.
Probably. I
You
just,
get that
was
disorientation,
trying
you
to
get that
avoid.
transportation.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I was just trying to avoid copying the whole manta ray thing a bit.
No, I totally get you. I do. I
Okay.
really do. What's up, Zim?
Oh, so I've got this structure compass in the game here that was telling me that the only stronghold was over 5 million blocks away.
Oh shit.
Oh, 58 million blocks away.
Oh shit.
And I'm like, yeah,
That's
I don't think I want to run that far. But then I used a eye of Ender and it pointed me in a different direction. So
oh shit. Well, good luck. And obviously, we don't have to exactly like word for word copy the Stingray as like aesthetic, but like some sort of pseudo flaps, I think would be appropriate.
Yeah. No, I mean, I definitely agree with you there. I was just trying to not go, oh, hey, this thing exists. Let's just like kind of change it like the tiniest bit.
Hmm.
But like, you see where I'm going with the whole
Yeah,
like design
I
ethos
believe.
around like why it's a real problem for the Harith to deal with it, but also why
Hmm.
it's not like an extreme problem. Because if these aren't exactly the most mobile, just try to leave and don't come back to that area for a bit,
Yeah.
which provides its own problems, but it's why it'd be really important to have multiple Aquafarim groups instead of just relying on one.
Hmm. Well, there are a few other considerations I am keeping in mind, though. Jit actually
Yeah.
brings up one of them. How would this creature survive in the season of tears?
Uh,
Um,
One of the things
the
is
next one
that
would be
specifically,
like
yeah,
obviously this creature would probably be a natural deterrent against like invading forces. If it is that immobile, then like how is it not wiped out in one extent or another on the outside edges? And maybe it is. Maybe it is.
maybe it is,
good night,
but
Senshu.
Hmm.
And
yeah,
also, Matt,
uh,
I'm trying not to cheat. I was only spawning those in to make sure that the world generation wasn't borked.
You were saying, Toldy?
Yeah.
yeah. So, from what I understand about the Season of Tears, is that while there is a lot of torrential rain up on the Hakti, the actual flooding problem only really happens down in the more ravine areas and canyon areas,
Correct.
as that's where it gets funneled. So while it would be like, a seasonal problem for them, first of all, it only happens once every 5 to 10 years. So that means that there would absolutely be a population replenishment period for those that would survive. And second of all, they wouldn't exactly really be drowning or anything. So,
Hmm. And something that
because
I've actually
obviously,
been kind of considering is maybe that Season of Tears could even fit into their actual development cycle. Like perhaps their juveniles are down in the canyons, whereas the adults are on the Hakti.
yeah. But I was
Um,
also thinking that this gives a reason for why they would be infesting the lower reaches of the canyons where the Harith kind of like traveled usually, and that's
Hmm.
because if the Season of Tears were to happen, a lot of the time they would prefer to not be down there, so they sort of have like an evolutional discouragement for being down there all the time.
That's not a bad idea. Perhaps it could be considered
Those-
like a death sentence for them, that if they fall down the canyon walls, they're not getting back up.
Yeah, and especially considering they don't have good mobility, and they're specifically kind of more designed to go through the sands and not the caves.
Mm-hmm.
We could make a variant that lives in the caves because that would make sense, but and they could like maybe try and like be on the ceiling more, so that way they're like upside down on the ceiling.
Mm-hmm.
But for the ones that are more Hakti sand based, that are like the really big problem for the Harith to deal with, just due to the fact that they're like very like they don't really have many evolutionary things that help them deal with it. If like they almost never go down to the actual like ravines and canyons where the Harith will normally try and move about, it also gives a reason for why the Harith aren't endangered by these guys, because hey, they aren't really down there.
Mm-hmm.
Because then otherwise
Okay.
there would be no reason as to why they try to like make their try to make their fortune up on the Hakti, if they could just go down into the ravines and feast on the Harith. So if specifically the Season of Tears is why they can't like be down there due to the torrential flooding down in the ravines, they could survive at a disadvantage up on the Hakti, but being down there would be a death sentence. So there would be a big evolutionary stigma towards going down there.
It also means that if there's ever a hunting party, well, maybe they could try to trick them down the canyon walls, where they're much easier to uh, work against.
Yep.
I've got a few other thoughts dancing through my head, such as how would the actual like mating practices work? Would there be like, say, bulls that fight each other? And if so, how do they demonstrate their dominance in one another?
Yep. It might actually in that case that might be related more towards like the very like hard muzzles that they've developed.
Hmm.
And given that they're also like really low mobility, there can't really be like an agility portion to it. So if you want it to be so that way there's like bulls fighting, then that means they could just kind of like try to fight it out like that.
The
Sort of
slap
like just
bites.
going head to head.
I like it. Let's go ahead and let's make sure to write down the tidbits that we do have, and let's definitely give this one more thought.
Yeah. No, I'm not saying that we should put this in the wiki right away. I was just more like, hey, this seems like a good way to handle this.
Yeah, no, I agree. I just feel like this particular species is just going to need a little bit more fine tuning.
Yeah.
All right, let's
Then again,
do plants.
like, yep, I was gonna say like basically every animal species that we come up with that's gonna be important to the like day to day in Hirosu. I mean, that's always gonna be something that's gonna require like more than one design cycle pass.
Oh yeah, like the beasts of burden, for example. I've already gone through about 3 different iterations of them.
Yeah.
Mostly because we have to take a very careful consideration with just how the ecological system of Hirosu actually works.
Yep. Which is actually bringing me up to another question that I had, and it was related to plants. Is what sort of plant life is inside the cave systems that they brave to go through, either for the ones that they've deemed safe in order to reach the Hakti, or the ones that they're mining through, or just the ones that they are living in case of the more tribal ones. What kind of plant life is kind of inside the cave systems?
It's a good question. Honestly, I wouldn't expect anything super dangerous. Their cave systems are probably not very ecologically diverse.
Yeah.
Mostly just due to the fact that, well, I don't know how best to say it. All the actions outside. But there is a very
Yeah.
important resource in many of the caves, and that is water. So I was thinking there could be a very diverse species of like lichen, for example, or
Yeah.
moss.
That I was actually thinking about different forms of lichen that would like maybe populate the area,
Mm-hmm.
especially if any of them would be more luminescent, because that could be interesting.
Oh yeah. Take a look at one of these, and you get a glowing tongue. Bleh. Glowing algae is unsafe to drink water. Alright. I don't know. I'm no scientist.
Yeah, I'm not a biologist. I mean,
Yeah, that's the one I meant. I am a scientist of sorts.
of a type. Hey, technically I am too, because I'm a computer scientist.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, being a scientist is just merely a view, like how one views the world, as well as how one chooses to interact with it.
Yeah.
But not to go too far off topic. So yeah, lichen and moss were something that I had considered. Obviously, mushrooms are something that you could potentially toss in, but I feel like mushrooms are very much overdone, and I feel like I can maybe lean away from those.
Yeah. Like maybe one or two that are like slightly notable, but not like, some sort of like giant like mushroom spanning the caverns or anything like that. Just like, oh
Yeah.
hey, we have a mushroom type or two that's down there. They're kind of edible, but they're not really like staples or anything. So
Yeah. Well, honestly, I mean, we could make one of them a little bit of a staple, but that's just simply because, well, they're not going to kill you if you eat them.
yeah, well that's what I'm saying. Like they're not a staple, but they won't like kill you if you eat them. So if you're in the caves, like you can eat them
Hmm.
if you want to or you need to, but they're not like, the Hearth aren't like specifically going out and gathering these mushrooms. It's just more of a, it's sort
They
of
could
like
be
the same sort of
cultivated,
like,
though.
yeah, they could be cultivated,
Hmm.
but I'm just saying they wouldn't be like, especially sought after. It could just be, uh, a supplemental sort of thing.
Yeah. I like to imagine that it's like the broccoli of the Hearth world.
Oh
It's
yeah,
like, I
where,
mean, I
you gotta eat
guess
your
I'll
cave
eat it.
mushrooms.
You gotta
I
eat your
guess
cave
I'll eat it.
mushroom.
And then like occasionally you'll just get like the one kid that just like is all about them, and he's just like
Yeah.
deemed really weird by the rest of the kids because the rest of the kid are like looking at him, and then it's just like, why are you eating the mushrooms? And they're like, but I
You
like
got
them.
meat over here. What could be done, though, and this is actually maybe a bit of an interesting, perhaps these mushrooms could actually be flavored in different ways. So the mushrooms themselves could be relatively tasteless, but through, I don't know how best to say it, through the like use of broths and stews, they could be flavored in different ways in order to make them more palatable.
Yeah, I mean that's entirely fair. I mean, a lot of people aren't going to eat raw potatoes.
Hmm.
But if you cook them in certain ways and you put them in like different broths and stews, then all of a sudden people are like, yeah, I can get behind it.
Yeah.
So it could be a little bit more of like a potato situation where they're
Yeah.
not good on their own really, but like if you start doing stuff to them, then yeah, they're okay.
Apparently, this bee is an ogre slayer.
Oh shit.
Maybe it was just allergic.
Well, better than a bee that's a booger slayer. Anyway,
Yeah.
So I like the idea of like a cultivated mushroom that is not exactly the most palatable thing, but is, you know, it's kind of a staple.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, all of the Harith can like get some. And they're not exactly
Mhm.
gonna be. They're not gonna like turn their nose up at it, but it's just gonna be like
Yeah.
a more. I mean, like, it could just be like the broccoli slash lettuce of Harith, where it's just like, yeah, you could eat them. Some people like it. It doesn't really have taste. But you
And
know,
it shall be called the brucali.
maybe not, but it's
Okay,
kind of
maybe
funny.
not. Yeah, all right. Let's make sure to write that one down too. Then.
Yeah.
Obviously, I one thing that I did kind of consider when it came to the Harith was that their taste for minerals is probably more expanded than other species. So, like, you know how salt is for us, right? Well, now
Yeah.
imagine, like, for them, if they had salt, but they also had, like, all these other minerals that had just, like, differing flavors that, to them.
All right, so basically, like their mineral-based toppings are more like tropical spices.
So
Exactly.
they might throw like iron on, like iron shavings on or something.
Something like that. Maybe not necessarily iron shavings, but, like, say, I don't know, like zinc or sulfate or something like that. It's like, yes, I could do with a little bit of sandstone today, dear.
All right, so I like really quickly looked up what kind of minerals are edible and have taste. So borax is listed as a like a sweeter alkaline.
Okay.
Then there's okay, that's like way too long to say, and it says poisonous. So
Well, for the Harith, it might not be poisonous for them.
yeah, it might not, but it was kind of funny. Where it's like, what is edible? Immediately list something poisonous.
Well, technically,
And it
everything is
just
edible once.
Yeah.
once, yeah.
Well, no, because the technical definition for edible, it was an argument that I got into a while back, is that it is safe to eat. Was that a baby zombie riding on a chicken? So something
Yes.
being poisonous does mean that it is not edible.
Here's a good one. There
What do you
is something called sylvite or sylvine, which is a potassium chloride.
Oh ho!
Good night,
Yeah,
It's
considering
Apoleos.
potassium is probably something they have a difficult time getting a hold of, I'd imagine that would be
yeah.
definitely a staple for them.
Also, a lot of them are like so it is so from what I'm seeing is more naturally they'll have a like a very neat like red coloration. You see.
Mm-hmm. Take a look. Ooh, I could definitely see that being in a kitchen.
Yeah.
I get it. You know how, like, we have cheese graters? Well, they've got rock graters.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, dear, I'm just prepping the seasoning.
No, but in all seriousness, they just have like household mortar and pestles.
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, just a little bit of mortar or pestle, take a pinch, and then just spread it around.
Okay, so it says that the red is generally due to hematite inclusion. So what's hematite? Ferric oxide. So it would also, like, the red kind would also have some good iron intake as well.
Mm-hmm.
So there could be like
So
a more
something
pure
like
form
this would
that's
probably. Mm-hmm.
yeah. Then there could even be because it says naturally it's colorless to white. So like the closer to colorless and white it is, like the more highbrow it could be, and then the redder it is, the more like common.
Oh, I like that.
Because it'd be harder to find it without any iron inclusions with it. But if you do, then it could be a much more highbrow, sort of like high society kind of garnish instead of it being, the more lowbrow,
Yeah.
common, redder kind.
And that highbrow stuff could even be perhaps called by a different name entirely.
Yeah, even though it's the
Kind
same
of like the
stuff.
difference between like crack cocaine and cocaine sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Great distinction.
Yeah. By the way, Zork, that's why I was laughing, because I looked up like edible stuff and then it immediately lists something that was completely toxic.
Then let's definitely put this one over onto the list.
All right.
Let's see what else would probably be good. There's probably some that might not have necessarily nutritional value, but still taste okay. Maybe because they replicate things that are nutritionally of value, like kind of like alcohol is for people. Like alcohol, like human beings are attracted to alcohol because it meant fermenting fruit, and fermenting fruit meant that they were high in sugars, which was something that it was very difficult for people to get back in the day. But now we've just kind of taken the alcohol and we've left the rest of it to the wayside. So perhaps there's minerals that are kind of like that, where they are they taste really good, but they don't necessarily have that same nutritional value. And if need be, we could maybe even come up with a couple of minerals if we can't think of any.
Yeah.
And we'll just blame it on, I don't know, magic.
I mean, yeah. I mean, we're not exactly. I don't know what the term is, but like the people who do like the food theory stuff.
I was just gonna say geologist, but yeah, that too.
Because there is an actual like thing for that. I just can't remember the name.
But I think we could definitely put down like a few staples, and I don't know, connoisseur. Um, like calcium, for example. Calcium's probably something that they don't normally get, so it makes sense that they would probably have a taste for it. Which probably means that the Harith actually take even the bones of like their prey and they grind it up in order to spread on their food.
Yeah, probably.
Which also makes sense from a pragmatic standpoint, which they very much are, in a waste not, want not sort of society. Musically enough, I feel like salt would probably be something they don't have much of a taste for.
It'd probably be like, okay, I know that this isn't like that specifically like vanilla for us is like something that basically everyone agrees is good, so that's why it's considered the standard. But like
Yeah.
salt, salt could be more of like their. I mean, yeah, it's okay. Everyone like no one really dislikes it, but
it's like one of those things they're not exactly going to be crouching down in the sand and gobbling it up.
Yeah, it'd be more to the thing like, if you don't know what someone likes specifically, you could just throw salt on it and no one's really gonna complain.
We do that anyway.
But it wouldn't really be. Well, yeah, but I mean, like, for them. It'd be like our thing of basically going, hey, do you want some vanilla ice cream instead of, like, one of, like, the more specialized flavors?
Mm-hmm. I could get behind that. Why Wolf Mage? That's mean.
Oh, that is mean.
I'm trying to have a conversation here, and here you're trying to kill me. Meow. How did we get to this from plants?
Because we had started talking about the mushrooms, and then that got us
Oh, yeah,
onto
the mushrooms.
palette talks.
Yeah, the mushrooms. Okay. Sweet. Another thing we can write down. Hey, y'all. We're also
Yeah.
going to have, as part of this book, a recipe guide for some common Hurrit dishes. First, you want to
Oh,
get
wait,
yourself a
hold on.
portobello mushroom.
Oh my god, I just thought about something that could be like really important for the whole idea of you like your idea of them grinding down the bones.
Yeah.
What if like in order to like really get the mileage out of it, what if they have a really big cultural aspect of bone broth and then straining the bones out at the end, and then they can mortar and pestle down the bones for the calcium?
Yeah, honestly, you're thinking exactly what I was thinking. Get every little bit that they
'Cause-
can from it.
Because yeah, like making the bone broth would get like the marrow out, and then that gets the marrow out, so that way it's just basically the bones left. So if they want to powder the bones and make bone meal,
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I means that they also find the undead to be very delicious.
uh,
Oh, you attack us with skeleton warriors, one of our main staples.
I don't know if I'd want to eat
they're
that.
attacking us with food.
Yummy.
Yeah, I'll pass on that. Thanks.
Once you get past the taste of, the restless magics, you're good. That is something that I have actually been calling necromancy within the refuge universes, that they are also called the restless magics.
Okay.
Hmm.
A neat name for it.
I like it. I don't think anybody else has come up with it yet. I better copyright it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, Wolfstein.
Hey, well,
I'm just looking for Endermen right now. Hey, Matt,
You
you
don't
have
you don't find
spawned.
them, they find you.
all right. So far on the list, I have sand manta rays, the cave mushroom broccoli, the sylvite, and then bone broth powdering bones.
Perfect. That'll give us some material to write up.
Yep. By the way, this
Let's
is on
see.
the notes on Hurrith thing in the drive that I shared with you.
Yeah. Oh, I also did find out, by the way, that in the World Anvil, they do have a section specifically for like small minor things that might not deserve an entire article of their own.
Okay.
Yeah, God, where is it? It is in the advanced tools, and it is called variables.
Okay. Voice
Mhm.
crack, but okay.
Say again?
I said voice crack. This was
Oh.
the first time I said okay. I had like a really bad voice crack.
Oh, gotcha. All right, Taldarius, you got to think of a plant that might be a main staple within Hurrith society that is not a food-based one.
Okay, not a food based. So
Yes.
it would either have to be like have visual appeal, recreational use, or healing properties, from what I can like think of there.
Yep. Although there are others. Poison is one
Yeah,
of them. Spices is another, because technically those
Yeah.
aren't edible. They're just flavoring.
Yeah, but we more wanted that to be towards the mineral side of things. But yeah, we could have a couple
Yeah.
of plants there.
So, the Nether, very dangerous place to have super speed.
No.
Oh yeah.
Just hold shift. Go slow. Don't go off edges. Boom.
Mhm. But yeah, for the plant, I did come up with the recreational already.
Yeah, you came up with the
Uh,
recreational.
Yeah, while you're more than welcome to come up with another one, I'm just saying like that. That's one that is a category I've already touched upon to some degree.
Yeah. There isn't really a big risk on them getting ones that are poisonous, so there wouldn't really be that much of a use for something that would, like, they could ingest and counter that. It isn't like they're in a forest or something where, like, half the stuff they want to eat would just, like, straight up poison them.
Good night,
Yeah.
Matt.
This desert
Thanks
is
for
actually
coming by.
surprisingly tame on that front.
Yep. Well, most deserts kind of are. That isn't really the big problem in the desert.
Yeah. Usually the heat kills things before they could eat you.
Usually.
That Matt there is actually my brother.
Oh. Fair enough then. All the same, may they have a good night.
There's dreams.
Alright, I got a question for you.
All right.
How would you feel about there being an, like, a variant species of agave?
Fill me in on what agave is. I think I remember, but I'm tired.
So they're generally in, like, really hot and arid regions. They're like the really short, like, prickly looking plants.
Aren't they used to make alcohol?
They're used for a lot of things.
They're used for a lot of stuff.
Fair enough.
Healing, alcohol, you name it, it's
Yeah.
probably got a use.
Okay, so kind of like a general purpose plant then.
Yeah. So, for example, they, like, it'd be, like, really similar to, like, aloe.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're entirely different plants. Just to, like, as like a thing, but like as a sort of like catch-all kind of very useful for a lot of stuff, but it's not exactly the best.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I could dig it. Yeah, I wouldn't mind
Yeah.
something like that. I mean, because honestly, they could probably be used in a few different ways. Like you said, they could probably be used as healing. So maybe some like healers tend to keep like a few plants on hand that they can snip for like small cuts and bruises and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Um,
So
Good.
One important thing about agave is that they can get like a lot larger. So we could either go with like a smaller agave or a larger agave. And like one thing that's really important about agave that I think would be like really neat is that agave will only flower once.
Okay. Like once
that
and then
could
they're
also-
dead. Period.
Oh yeah, they flower once. So we could
Okay.
even like make it so that way they only give like one or something other effect when they're flowering.
Oh, I see. Like what kind of effect?
I don't know.
Well, what about since like the version that we have is a the version that we have is one that like we've established they make alcohol with it. They do a lot of healing with it. Perhaps instead of alcohol, it's got a hallucinogenic effect that they can
I'm
put
kind of-
into a drink.
Kind of digging that. Although
Yeah.
I think there could be two things here. One, the Hirith are obviously a culture that is constantly fighting off invaders of sorts. So perhaps, depending on the stage that this flower is, the more, uh, oh gosh, what would a, the more of a mild stimulant it becomes. So, like initially, it might be a like a sweetener healing thing when the flower is fully unbloomed, and then as the flower begins blooming, it becomes more and more of a stimulant.
I like that idea.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it could be I mean it could also lead into that a kind of going with that stage thing is that you said it was a stimulant. It could get to a stage where it goes too far on that front. Basically.
Well, perhaps if mixed with the right things, you could get yourself that hallucinogen.
Yep. By the way, as a sort of thing real quick, as like for the kind of alcohol that agave can make is that it can make things like tequila.
Oh yeah,
But
tequila.
like, you know, it takes a long time to mature.
Probably why that shit's so damn expensive then.
Yeah. Well, it specifically it's made with like blue agave or something like that. I think it was.
I'm not familiar.
Ah.
I'm afraid I live
But-
under a vat rock.
Yes.
Don't worry, you're not alone. I don't know alcohol at all either.
All I know is that I spend money and it makes me go for a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't even
But-
get
But
that.
I do
effect.
like that idea. Go ahead, Taldarius.
I was just gonna say, as a fun fact about you, like trying to go like, oh yeah, the older is better, is that is actually how agave works, by the way.
Fair enough.
At the
Well, I mean,
older an
it
agave-
is a sweetener.
Yeah, but the older an agave plant is, so too does the amount of like carbohydrates and sugars that are contained inside the plants.
Exactly.
So you know.
So it makes sense. Yeah, I like that idea for a plant that starts off as a sweetener / mild healer, and then turns into a stimulant as it like enters into, I don't know, sexual maturity.
Yeah.
Before
Well,
finally, when the
yeah.
flower dies and it returns back into being a sweetener.
Yeah. Do we want to give anything specific to like when it flowers? Because it will only flower once, but when it does, it flowers like a shit ton. So
Hmm.
it would be a trade-off where like if you collected it while it was flowering, you could get like this one effect, but then you're collecting it, so there's going to be less agave the next maturity cycle.
Good point.
As a sort of like trade-off.
Per-
So like we could make it so that way specifically like when it flowers, like the flowers of the agave are like really useful for healing, but you're effectively like, you know, making it so you have less around next time in order to get the healing effect.
I would go with that. Plus, you're
And it'll
also
even have like,
like if the flower is removed, then so too is the stimulant property of the plant.
yeah.
Why are Endermen so rare?
Probably because you're playing modded. They're normally pretty common.
One thing that'll be really nice though is that generally agave are like super high in fiber.
Hmm.
So this could be how they get like a lot of fiber.
Yeah. I could definitely
It's also
see there being like little treat stalls specifically for children that just have like little agave sticks.
yep. I mean, they're generally more the leaves specifically, like if you eat them, like eat the leaves, the leaves are really bitter, but like the sap that you can get is a sweetener, so they could use it for either, really.
Well, sure. But we're not making it exactly like an agave. It's just
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
agave-like.
Yeah. I'm just like, you know, more pointing out like the interesting parts about agave.
Yeah. But no, I kind of like this idea for this plant.
Yeah.
There is one plant that I definitely would like to visit though, and that is whatever is used, and it doesn't have to necessarily be a plant, it could be an animal too, that is used to help them make their clothing. I mean, their desert
Yeah.
robes got to come from somewhere.
Um. Ah, man.
For some reason,
Because
I
like the
have in
first
my
thing that I
head
thought
like
of.
this.
Yeah.
I was just saying, like the first thing that popped in my head was this like swelling dandelion-like flower that, as it grows and matures, it like a little sac on it will grow bigger and bigger and bigger until eventually it pops, and a bunch of like dandelion seeds are essentially spread out in a wide swath to go out and about and anchor themselves into the rock walls of the cliffs. But go ahead.
I was gonna say, I know, like in real life, most desert people prefer like making like loose cotton clothing from like camels and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And generally, they do that out of like whatever domesticated animals they have in order to like get like the wool and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, we're kind of already like trying to be really careful about like their beast of burden thing and about how it's not exactly fully domesticated, really. So I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if that would quite work for these guys.
Well, it could be two things. Maybe there's two different beasts of burden. One that is the big, predator like that it takes a lot of time and training to do, and a smaller, far more domesticated, sheep or llama like creature or whatever that is the main staple for that particular animal.
All right.
So I mean that's one way we could get around it. Although that then does always beg the idea like, okay, how does this animal survive? Do they survive on top of the shoot, what do you call it?
Bhakti, or
Hakti, thank you.
like what do you mean? Okay.
Like how do they survive on top of the hot tea, or if they survive in the cliffs down below, how do they manage to survive the season of tears? Like, obviously, those are considerations that have to be done in mind because this can't just be a typical beast of burden. There has to be more to them,
Yeah.
And perhaps we could go with, like, say, the mountain goats idea, where maybe they are able to very easily traverse the cliff sides. Actually, that's
Yeah,
not
I
a
was
Good
bad
gonna
night,
idea.
done,
recommend.
Brian.
I was gonna recommend a goat variant where, like, they could very easily like go up and down.
Hmm. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Maybe we could do something like that.
Because it means, like, when they aren't going to get food or anything, they could, like, go down where it's safer, and then they could climb up when they're hungry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
That
like
could be
that
how they
idea.
get,
Let's do
like,
that.
most of their like possible wool. Especially considering the fact that they like with the agave we just made, especially if it's like a slightly larger variant of agave or version or whatever term we want to use, could be fed to the to their domesticated goat-like things.
Mm-hmm. I think that would work. It also makes sense that maybe this is a kind of creature that is capable of eating the lichen right off of rocks, too.
Oh yeah.
I really need to find Enderman. Yeah, I used up all my ender pearls. Which means that I've got no means of getting to the nether until I find more endermen. And
I'm sorry.
endermen are meant to be very rare. If you had a whole bunch spawning, that was unusual.
Well, fair enough. They're always a fun challenge to pick off. And then, of course, worst case scenario, I just cheese and jump under a tree.
What's the last thing I heard, Tal? Oh, Taldarius dropped.
Yep, Dahlia's just left. Discussing clothing, furs, and fibers of plants, I believe.
Alright, I'll be right back.
Okay. Whee! Oh, game, please do not lag on me right now. Thank you.
Is it time for the evil?
What?
I'll take that as a no.
No ender pearl. Fuck.
Denied.
Come here.
Worstein_oil wants you to look up.
Damn it.
Evil timing, apparently. Yep, that was evil. Yeah, yes. The cards are glorious.
I suppose that's one word for him.
Yeah.
Well, I at least got one ender pearl. And, well, more nether quartz is always useful. Oh, yes, they can. I think they can actually be made into a few. Yeah. That might actually be enough ender pearls.
No, my
Hello.
internet is just super in and out today. I don't know what's going on.
Rygon has stepped away for the moment.
All right.
So, in other news, how are you?
I'm doing pretty okay today.
Wasn't there
I'm
something we
currently,
needed to discuss about the twins also? But go
I
on.
believe so, but I can't remember it at this exact moment.
Welcome back.
My internet has decided to return for a little bit.
Hey. Maybe use the sun to send the close on command, and then do the wrong. Exactly. Tall areas. I like that.
Yeah.
All right. I think we got a good beast of burden. At least in terms of like the domesticated.
Yeah. But obviously they wouldn't exactly be good for bulk good transport, which is where the more predator-sized one comes in.
Exactly. Have a good night, Kenku. Oh, everybody's going off to bed. What the
Good
fuck?
night,
Oh,
Kenku.
I know, right?
Oh yeah, it's like
It's almost like it's almost 1 o'clock in the
12:24.
morning or something.
Yeah,
Damn,
just
it's
a little
almost
past midnight.
2:30 for me. Yeah, just, you know.
Time be flying.
I hear an Enderman. Where are you? Oh, there's so many. Yay! More ender pearls. Zombies when? What do you mean, Jaffer?
I wouldn't be surprised if they mean zombie. But perhaps not.
Oh, not tonight. Sorry, Jaffer. It's not that I'm done with it yet. I just didn't, I wanted to have Rygon be able to be included and stuff tonight.
Man. Alrighty. What's an area that you would like to talk about, Soldarius?
Like I said at the beginning, I'm fine talking about anything. I'm just kind of annoyed by my, internet.
That's kind of why I'm giving you the choice, so that way we could talk about something that might interest you.
I'm just in a general world building mood instead of like specifically wanting to focus on any one thing, to be honest.
Weather.
Okay.
Like, you know what I mean, right?
Yeah. Oh, trust me, I get in those moods too. What kind of an enemy do you think would be the antithesis to the Harith?
Do you mean like as like the multiversal counter? Or
Yep.
okay. So obviously the Harith, a lot of their defensive strategy has to do around the troubles that are involved with invading a desert, especially against ostensibly what equates to ambush predators, kind of like how the Harith are. It would be a little bit hard to like immediately think of something that like just immediate fantasy counter, but one thing that I was thinking of immediately was something like something that really wouldn't have to care about supply lines or the heat or like the cold. So given that a lot of their backup defensive strategies involve withdrawing into their cliffside fortifications where it'd be a lot darker, I'm thinking that they'd have a lot of trouble dealing with anything that's more robotic, especially ones that have mostly closed off systems, so that way their stuff can't get completely messed with by desert wind or dust or anything like that, or the grains of sand in case there's a sandstorm. So
Dust.
basically I'm thinking something high tech where they would also have ways to detect Harith lying in wait. That would absolutely mess with the Harith's ability to defend properly, especially given that they're not exactly a high-tech species as much as they will scavenge off of other races and how they're quickly advancing because of that. They just, don't really have a lot of the technological might in order to possibly counter those should that ever be, should they ever attack.
Very true. Makes you kind of wonder what if at one point in their history they had to deal with something like that.
I mean, it probably
And
just
if
would
so,
have been
what
a
would be the
full-on-
countermeasures they used?
I was going to say, it would probably have just been, full on, they would have just had to like try and wait out the invasion, probably, because like going on the offensive wouldn't really help because there's not exactly a supply line to raid. There's not exactly like robots would have to care about like keeping a baggage caravan for supplies that could be raided. It would mostly just have to be because I know we were talking about how Harith are like they do have some walled settlements
Mm-hmm.
as like bastions, along with having like bastions on the upper parts of on the upper parts of the Hakti. So they probably would have just mostly had to like flee and hide up in there and like fight like extremely defensive battles from that location. Because even if they don't have to worry about a lot of the environmental effects, that could still force the invading robots to deal with the wildlife, which could probably like really ruin their day still. And it mostly just would have it probably would have just been like a forced like we have to wait these out and do full on like defensive guerrilla warfare.
I think I might have an enemy that could still be in the desert.
Yeah.
It could be like the Red Menace or the Red Force or something like that. But just essentially the remains of this one invading force that actually managed to be successful against the Hirith.
Yeah. Like,
and like their remnants are still out there.
Yeah, but like, because that's the only thing I can really think of that the Harith like have basically no real counterplay to. Because like the moment you bring up anything biological, there's always the big detriment there is just that Hirasu is Hirasu. So it'd have to be something that doesn't have a biological factor. That's a part of it. So then I was also thinking about necromancy, but you could still like ambush skeletons and things like that. But if you like try doing that on like more advanced robotics that had like, for example, like infrared vision, like what are you gonna do to like hide yourself amongst the sand or inside of a sandstorm if it turns on infrared? You can't really ambush it then.
Ooh, that actually makes for a really good. What is infrared? Like, what kind of a light does it give off? Red,
basically,
right?
infrared is it's more like heat vision.
Okay.
Yeah, infrared typically is displayed as like a red color, but doesn't always necessarily actually give one off. At least not one that we are able to see.
Yeah.
Then I think we may have a potential name for these things. To the Harith, they probably would call them something like coal eyes, which would be their name for like demon. Which could then be translated into like into some sort of a Harith word like Firatu or something like that.
Yeah. Real quick, I'm sending you an image where it shows someone that has on like heat vision infrared equipment and like what a hand looks like under heat vision.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's not the hand that I'm paying attention to.
Yeah.
It's more of the
Yeah.
other aspect. Obviously, in
So
modern technology, you don't really see any kind of a glare or a glow, but for the sake of, fantasy cool things, these robotics, these advanced robotics have that. So I'm actually thinking in my head, what if there was a advanced cybernetic race, automatons essentially, but that utilize some biological components as a part of their, or rather undead components as part of their makeup. And the one distinctive factor between all of them, despite their unusual makeup, was the red eyes, which was in fact the ultraviolet or the infrared vision.
infrared. Yeah. I mean, that totally works. It's like that's the only
Mhm.
like that sort of like enemy makeup would completely fuck with the Harith's everything.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why to the Harith, these would be their demons. Like they are a constant thorn in their side as they try to live out their day-to-day life, because inevitably, even though like the remnants may have been cut off from their main force just due to the nature of refuge, they are still dealing with the little scattered bits and pieces that are still buried beneath the sands that
Oh,
maybe occasionally surface back up.
I just thought of a really good story about the Harith version of a boogeyman.
Exactly. This is
No,
their
no, no.
boogeyman.
No, no, no. Think about it this way. Imagine
Uh-huh.
legends that the Harith have about one of these being made out of their special silver metal.
Ooh, I like that.
That would be
Because
a
that's why they
total
were there for,
boogeyman
right?
them. Yeah, they'd be after the metal.
Yeah.
So that would be like a really good Harith boogeyman.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it be like one, like some would actually exist, up to debate. We could figure that out later. But like culturally, just imagine like the pants shitting terror that they would have, where like this entire murder bot that is your version of a demon is made out of the best legendary metal that your land has to offer. And what are you going to use as a weapon that could like really hurt it then? You'd be reduced to
exactly.
like trying to make a metal club in order to bash it in, and that probably wouldn't really work against highly advanced robots.
Immobilization traps, bindings.
Yeah, that'd be what they'd have to do, but like imagine doing traps like that against something that has multiple forms of vision.
Well, thankfully, and this is perhaps their one saving grace, those things are dumb as shit.
Saturation attacks.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm not
they
saying
are
they wouldn't have
undead robots,
anything they could
essentially,
do.
after all. Oh, yeah, yeah.
I-
But I'm
not
saying,
saying they
like, you
didn't
know,
have
it's one of
anything
it's one
they
of
could
those
do.
things. It's one of those things where they're definitely like the puppets of something, of some other much greater, I don't know, mastermind that unfortunately now can no longer control them because they are separated. Their strings have been cut.
Yeah. Which made them a much bigger threat during the act of invasion, and now it's why they're like they're not like civilization ending, but like if any of them pop up, it's deadly as shit to them.
Exactly. And perhaps makes for some good transcriptions on their medallions if they actually manage to kill one.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I think
yeah, that
we'll
would be
definitely write that one down.
Yeah. And then we could also like put in like, cultural boogeyman legend of like, the silver versions of whatever these are.
Mm-hmm. It could go right alongside that other boogeyman one that I wrote, which is a very, very intelligent wraith-like creature that its only purpose is to drown you.
Ah.
Mm-hmm. I'll have to actually see if I can find the specific article in question.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm definitely digging this.
Yeah, same.
Because like kind of like combining everything that the Harith would be not good at dealing with,
To anyone wondering what we are actually talking about, we are talking about refuge. Specifically in the section called the Hirasu with the Harith, a species of my own creation. This is world building for this project that I have been developing on and off for a little over a decade now at this point, and for which I fully expect I will continue working on for quite a long time to come. If any of you are curious, I will have posted a link in the chat. Follow that link, and you can begin seeing the beginnings of me finally writing down all of this crap that we've been talking about, as well as the stuff in my own head. So you can expect that the articles and whatnot will be frequently updated. and you all can catch glimpses and bits and pieces as I get it all down.
I hope you guys get as excited about this as I am. Because I am, heavily invested at this point. Yeah.
Meh. And this is only like one world.
Oh,
Or
yeah.
one land.
Oh, if you think that I haven't already, like, started the makings of figuring out what I would want to do for a world that I could create in Refuge, you're... Because I've already started mulling it over.
Good. That's exactly what it's there for.
I
To
know.
give the foundations for people to create their own.
Yeah.
Owl over here just imagining smoke, little bit of crackle pop to throw off hearing, and then thermals for the seeing through smoke. Suddenly the robot is very scary.
The
Or
robot
does
is
it?
already very scary, but yes.
Oh no,
Especially
literally
considering
everything.
Hirasu is already a land where it's a desert, as well as the upper plains, like having windstorms and all that, but that turn it into like sandstorms. So imagine you're trying to get back because you're like scouting and a dust storm is kicked up, and all of a sudden like you can like kind of hear something moving, you're not sure what it is, and then you're suddenly able to like slightly make out some like really small pinprick red eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Jack Marten, hello there, and thank you very much for that follow. Welcome.
Here it is. The Aqua Talal. The Water's Touch. This is a myth, a boogeyman of sorts, based off of the Harith's natural fear of flowing water.
No?
Duke.
Right.
Ed, no worries, Ace. I fully understand they're already threatening enough on their own. I just always like to imagine furthering that and whatnot. Just idle considerations.
Oh
After
yeah.
all-
Oh, absolutely, but these things like explicitly are not supposed to be smart.
Oh, fair. I mean more of artificially creating the conditions for them to be most effective.
Oh yeah.
What, you mean the creatures we were just talking about?
Yeah. Simple.
That's what the
Robotic
mastermind is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Simple stuff.
Oh, if a
like,
connection is ever
crossbones.
reestablished, that's gonna be really, really, really bad for the Harith.
Oh yeah. Thankfully, that may not be the case, just due to the infinite nature of what Refuge is. But you never know.
You never know. Besides, it doesn't even have to be the original thing. They could just like bump into a thing that has the ability to take control over robots. And oh hey, this
Yeah.
place has some random robots in it. Let's see what they're about. Ooh, okay.
Yeah, it's not even just robots. Like they're undead cyborgs. That's a pretty
Yeah.
scary thought.
And the Harith aren't exactly a people that have paladins or anything like that.
No, they don't. At most, they probably have a shit ton of rangers, though. Let's be honest here.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They have a fuck ton of rangers.
Yeah, I sent you a link to the Aqua Talal.
Hey, nice.
Defeat anything with tech magnets? Non-magnetic
Uh,
metal.
Also, uh, like the uh, the Hertz current tech level is before there were like any sort of like mass produced or commercial or like really understood magnets. Because while like magnets have existed since like 600 BC, like that was just like the first like noting down of, oh hey, this thing attracts metal. Like it wasn't even until the 1800s where there was really even a connection between electricity and magnetism.
And there's always hardening against such attacks.
Yep.
Making more resilient, more redundant, more durable, as well as having fail-safes to reduce the impact and effect of such. Kinetic resistance, thermal resistance, electromagnetic resistance. So many things and potentials.
Yeah, especially considering the fact that they don't even really have electricity, so they can't really do electromagnets or electromagnetic fields in order to disrupt them. Even if they weren't hardened, it's just, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of like the naturally magnetic stuff, like even if you took something that was like a mineral that was magnetic, a lot of the time, like even just chucking that naturally at a random thing will probably not do as much, especially if you don't have it in a like, especially considering they wouldn't really have it in like a pure form. So it would also have impurities, and you'd have to like somehow make the connection of chucking it at robot and knowing it's going to do something. Because like even before getting in the like possible defenses that they would have against this, like what Harith is going to grab something that they know like kind of sticks to metal and chuck it at a robot and expect it to turn off or do anything. So it's not exactly like, you know, they don't exactly have like ready-made fridge magnets on like a mass scale that they could just like throw on these things.
All that said, I am chuckling, imagining I'm not sure if there's the familiarity or such, but I'm just imagining what a sandstorm, thunder, lightning storm would do to such though.
Oh yeah.
Got to see one from a veteran friend and such, and whew, there's a certain range those things can achieve, and it's just mildly terrifying. Just an angry ball of sand, not even that big, just like a localized spot of lightning everywhere, falling hot glass.
Banana Train, I did specifically mention that they were environmentally sealed, so that wouldn't do anything. Not to mention they don't exactly have ready-made pools of water. The only time where they really have like water everywhere in order to like use against these things is during the season of tears. But that wouldn't even do anything really because, you know, environmentally sealed. Because then otherwise they could just wait for the sand to gunk up its internals. So that's why specifically it was mentioned for environmentally sealed.
Rygon, you okay? Rygon?
They seem to have disconnected.
Oh, really?
Rather, their stream seems to have stopped, so they may have disconnected.
Looks like I'm not the only one having internet troubles tonight.
Joke.
Right, Laura, am I back?
Yep,
Oh, yes, you are.
back. Welcome back.
There we go. I was.
Oh, rip. Rip part 2. Electric Boogaloo.
Cool.
Boop-a-doop.
All right. Kind of want to make a big stream of going to the end, but we'll get to that at the next time. Or not really a big stream, but you know.
One there.
Hello?
Hey, could hurt. I could hear
back
Rag on.
again.
Hey, please let me down into the final time.
Mm. The puddle of time is so good. It'll be okay.
Yeah.
Stand by for disconnect.
Oh no,
Nah, I'm
I
sure the
forgot what it was I was talking about now.
Well, right now we were just kind of like talking with Chad about like how these things would be countered, and then I'm like, no, that wouldn't really work. No, that wouldn't really work. No, you can't dunk it in
Oh.
water. They're environmentally sealed.
Well, I mean, they could probably be I mean, they could actually be countered by quite a few things. I mean, like magic for one would probably be something that could relatively take care of them, and that might be
Yeah.
why their master wanted this particular metal as a means to fortify them against natural enemies.
Yeah, but I'm talking about like for the Harith specifically.
Oh, for the Harith, big rocks.
Yeah, that's you know.
But I mean, the one thankful thing about these things is that they are dumb without their master, but that doesn't make them any less dangerous. And who knows what kind of weaponry they actually have on them?
Yeah.
You know, being undead cyborgs, they could very well
oh dear.
have such out again.
Briefly.
Yeah,
sorry.
you're cutting out again.
Okay, I'll just wait until it's gone.
Do 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 do
Wait, so good? Oh,
So
Taldarius
far.
dropped.
Yeah, Taldarius has dropped, but you are still
Damn
here
it.
this time.
Gosh.
I mean, I don't know if the solar storms are still hitting or not, so. This one might just be internet and all that. Who knows?
Man.
Duke. Um. All right. Let's come down here. Do 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 do. I need more gearboxes. Do, 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 do. 5 of 3. 11 of 32. So there's 11 of 32 channels there. Why does that one look so much more filled than the rest? Hmm. Oh well. I could put 2 in here.
Me?
I'm just contemplating things. Yeah, we'll just go with 2 for now. Boop. Ba-doop, ba-doop. Doop, doop, doo, doo, doo.
Ba-doop, ba-doop. Ba-doop, ba-doop. Ba-ba-doop, ba-doop.
Do 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 do.
Ba-doop, ba-doop, ba-doop. Ba-doop, 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 doop, doop, doop. Ba-doop, ba-doop.
We're gonna get 2 more. Since we can. And 1 more of these. Hold up. Now why are you breaking? Why does my auto crafting keep breaking? Now it's apparently the planks again. Let's do this. We will cancel this recipe. Okay, that is unusable for this. Okay.
Yay!
I wouldn't exactly call that yay.
Oh, boo!
I think what's going on is that the game is trying to use a log that doesn't actually work for this. So let's do that. Put that in there. Or the problem is that the crafting table recipe seems to have disappeared again.
Oh no. Oh no.
Thank you for the head pats, Fetch.
You have more.
No, it's just,
there. Well, I'm debating I might end the stream right here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty tired. So I'll stick around on the call for a little bit longer, see if Taldarius comes back, and if not, then I'll probably turn in for an early night and just wake up in the morning and get done with my notes then. Yeah, sorry everybody, I am pretty tired from today. And the conversation was keeping me going, but now there's no conversation, so it's just like I can
What
feel
about
it.
the notes?
I said I'll do them in the morning.
Oh.
Okay. Alright. If you're sure about it and such, alrighty.
Yeah, I'll wake up early enough to get them done. If I go to sleep, like, pretty much right now.
Then, yeah, go ahead. Get yourself some rest.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you all so much for... Yeah. So thank you all so much for coming by the stream. I will be streaming again tomorrow. We'll probably do some fun stuff, but tomorrow will probably be primarily a work night as well as Saturday, just so I can get finished, caught up on all my various different bits and pieces, and we can just call it good. Alrighty. I will see you all later. Bye-bye. Alright. My stream's out.
I'll be ending my stream here in a few minutes when my when Stream Raiders is up.
Okay, you are sure. I'm going to turn off my light, start getting ready for bed.
Ah, hello.
Hello, Jaffe.
What the heck? Hey, Jeffrey.
Okay. I am starting to see a problem. Or at least part of the problem. Huh. Yeah, I'm gonna be renaming this recording.
As we do.
To what?
I don't know what. It's just, I definitely have not wound up doing anything at all what I was planning to do. I was planning to set up a farm, and instead I'm sitting here trying to troubleshoot Applied Energistics 2. Though I think I see what the problem is.
And attempting to locate a stronghold, and attempting to find Enderman and Ender pearls.
I really need to stop, just outright stop putting into my titles what I plan to do. Because I never stick
Let's
to
see
it.
what we do today.
Yeah.
Off to the cube land. What happens next? What the Marten doing?
But I think the problem I'm running into is that I think that me trying to share these molecular assemblers between multiple pattern providers is probably what's causing my issues. Oh, right. These are offline now. Cable. Alright, so we got 11 going through there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So one of these is just outright not feeding into the network. But which one and why? So we got 2 channels going through there. Then 5 channels. And then we jump up to 11. 1, 2, 3. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, only one of these is actually being added to the network. Or only 5 of them, rather. But again, why? I don't know. I'll troubleshoot this offline, I think. Or I'll just save it for next time. All right, everybody. Thank you all so much for joining us today. I did not mean to start that, so again, I went autopilot. Oh well. But thank you so much for joining for Minecraft. Check out our website, zgfgaming.com. We've got links for our Discord, Telegram, Twitter, Patreon, and more. There on the website, as well as down in the description below through our link tree. Thank you to my patrons, tippers, and subscribers. It is because of your support that I'm able to continue bringing these streams to you all. I really cannot do this without your guys' help and support, so thank you. Consider becoming a patron over at patreon.com/ZGFgaming. It is one of the best ways to support the channel, though you can also do so by simply sharing the stream around. But for now, thank you all so much for joining, and I bid you the most fondest adieu.